Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at something visually stunning, the global Vesak candlelight ceremonies. But, we're really uncovering the deep, practical mechanics right beneath them. Just imagine a literal sea of millions of people emerging into the evening breeze, passing a single flame from person to push back the darkness. It's wild.
It is truly a majestic sight. But today, we're going way beyond just the visuals. This whole explainer is actually based on a really fascinating article by Dr. Patoon Songkayo, and we're going to unpack the actual science and strategy behind this millennia-old tradition.
We're centering today on one massive, kind of provocative question. How on earth does an ancient 2,600-year-old ritual actually cure modern burnout? Okay, let's dive into this, because this isn't just about ancient spirituality or even those absolutely stunning royal ceremonies you see in Thailand where the king leads the nation in a candlelight circumambulation. Nope. This is this incredible intersection of history, culture, and, remarkably, modern neuroscience.
Right. And to properly explore that intersection, we absolutely have to credit Dr. Songkayo for these insights. What gives this explainer its unique depth is his background. I mean, the guy isn't just an academic. He's a former Buddhist monk who actually spent 16 years in the monkhood before pivoting into a huge career as a diplomat for Thailand, eventually retiring as a consul general. That dual perspective, deep traditional practice, combined with real-world global diplomacy, is exactly what we need to unpack this whole shebang properly.
So, tracking the history, Visakha Puja, or Vesak, marks a really unique convergence of time. Three miraculous events in Prince Siddhartha's life are recorded as happening on the exact same full moon day of the 6th lunar month. It tracks his birth in Lumbini, his awakening in Bodh Gaya, and his parinibbana, or passing, in Kushinagar. But the real catalyst for all of this? That happened between his birth and his awakening. He basically lived this life of immense royal privilege, totally insulated in luxurious palaces for different seasons, completely shielded from the real world. That is, right up until he stepped outside and witnessed the four sights: an old man, a sick man, a corpse, and an ascetic. It completely shattered his illusions. It made him realize that aging, illness, and death are totally inescapable, and it sparked his entire quest for cure.
Exactly. And his first attempt to find that cure was, well, extreme. For 6 straight years, he engaged in severe asceticism. He basically starved himself to near death, experimenting with the idea that torturing the physical body would somehow liberate the mind. But he quickly realized, that was a failed experiment. His major breakthrough actually came when he completely abandoned that extreme for what he termed the middle way. That meant nourishing his body just enough to sustain a strong, highly focused mind, allowing him to finally turn his awareness inward.
Section 1. The mind's operating system.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the narrative completely pivots. The Buddhist discoveries under that Bodhi tree didn't just spawn archaic rituals. What he actually created was a highly sophisticated, incredibly practical operating system for the 21st century mind. Think about it. On one hand, we have the Four Noble Truths, and on the other, modern problem-solving frameworks like cognitive behavioral therapy or even corporate strategy. The Buddha basically said, first, objectively diagnose the problem. Suffering exists. Second, identify its root cause, which is craving and ignorance. Third, envision the clear goal. The end of suffering is totally possible. And fourth, apply the treatment plan, the Noble Eightfold Path. That is literally the exact same logical framework a modern therapist or a CEO uses today. It's a timeless diagnostic model for solving literally any human crisis.
Right, so let's break down that treatment plan, the Noble Eightfold Path. It's categorized into 3 main pillars: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. In an era where we are constantly plagued by burnout, environmental degradation, and just deep social division, this path isn't just some abstract spiritual theory. It offers a very sustainable way to actually balance economic progress with our ethical responsibilities and personal well-being. It really is the ultimate middle way for modern society. And a huge part of that wisdom is rooted entirely in critical thinking. The Kalama Sutta explicitly states, don't blindly believe in authority, tradition, or rumors. You have to verify the truth through direct experience. The Buddha was all about spiritual equality and intellectual liberation. I mean, think about how incredibly vital that mindset is right now as we navigate a modern digital age filled with misinformation and fake news. The guy was teaching information literacy literally 2,600 years ago.
Section 2. Neuroscience and the second arrow. Let's move to and see how this builds. So let's connect this ancient psychology directly to modern brain mechanics, because the parallels here are honestly mind-blowing. This brings us to one of the most practical tools in the entire system, the second arrow. The Buddha taught that in life, physical pains, like sickness, aging, or accidents, are totally unavoidable. That's the first arrow. We all got hit by it. But the second arrow, that's our mental reaction to it. It's the anxiety, the anger, the despair we just layer on top of the pain. We can't always avoid that first arrow, but we have absolutely total control over the devastating mental suffering we inflict upon ourselves with that second arrow. And this is exactly where modern science totally backs him up. Clinical research practically screams that practicing mindfulness or satipatthana and loving kindness actually physically rewires the brain. We are talking about literal neuroplasticity here. Studies show it physically shrinks the amygdala, which is our brain's fear center, and it strengthens the prefrontal cortex. This directly reduces stress and enhances emotional resilience, empowering everyone from high-level corporate executives to everyday workers to really anchor themselves and handle modern pressures. It's a real game changer.
Section 3. Giants of Modern Thought. Because of this objective, deeply scientific nature, this ancient legacy hasn't just survived, it has earned immense respect from some of the absolute greatest intellectual heavyweights of our modern era. Listen to this thought from Yuval Noah Harari, the renowned historian and author of *Sapiens*. He calls Buddhism a prime example of a natural law religion, based on psychological cause and effect. Harari points out that this system isn't based on some creator god dictating behavior, but purely on objective mental mechanics. It's all about observing the natural law of consciousness, that craving leads to suffering and awareness leads to peace. And then, of course, there's Albert Einstein, the father of modern physics. Back in a 1930 article, he observed what he called a cosmic religious feeling, a state where an individual transcends the illusion of the separate ego to realize the beautiful, unbroken harmony of the universe. He saw Buddhism as strongly embodying this feeling. He basically linked the Buddha's ancient realization of Idappapaccayata, this total interconnectedness, to the modern scientific understanding of the cosmic web.
So the crucial point is, this universal applicability and profound peacefulness absolutely did not go unnoticed on the world stage. In December 1999, the United Nations General Assembly officially recognized the Day of Vesak. They recognized that these core teachings of compassion, nonviolence, and mindful living align absolutely perfectly with the UN's own goals of fostering human rights and global peace. Which brings us right back to that beautiful sea of candlelight we talked about at the start. When you see that global stillness on Visakha Puja, it's really not a ritual of mourning for a historical figure. No, it is all about katanyu, a Pali word meaning profound gratitude. It's a collective expression of deep gratitude for a living, breathing legacy. A man endured a completely solitary quest so that we wouldn't have to wander blindly, leaving us this incredibly functional toolkit for living beautifully and solving our crazy modern complexities. And so, we want to leave you with this provocative final question to chew on. How will you use this ancient blueprint to rewire your own mind today? The map out of the suffering has clearly been provided. The neuroscience absolutely proves it works. It's entirely up to us to pick up the tools and actually use them.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this explainer. It's been a truly fascinating journey exploring Dr. Songkhao's work and really decoding the mechanics behind the candles. It really has. We officially invite you to explore more and continue your journey of learning by visiting thailandfoundation.org.th. There is just so much more depth to uncover there. Stay curious, stay mindful, and we will definitely see you next time.